Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 400 and Ocho. This is your guide to the geek side. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra. In the dog days of summer, we're getting there. We're almost ready for football season, and it's the summer that wouldn't end.
It's toasty here in West Michigan. Charlie Carden here, everybody. 91 and humid. Love it. Yeah, I got out. I was pressing the flesh with one of our patrons this morning. I was out playing pickleball with my awesome Uncle Tim. He drove up and he whooped me 4 matches to 1 because I can't compete with 70-year-olds. What can I say? I'm going to Detroit. Yeah, I'm going to Detroit this week. I'll probably pay a bit with my dad. He'll kick my ass. And I you know what? It's all right. As long as they don't keel over. That's all I care about.
As long as you don't break a hip, Charlie. If you break a hip before they do, that's a bad showing.
Big problem in pickleball. But yeah, no, speaking of, look at this. I tripped into my next segue. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. But as always, before we give you the geekery coming up, including a spoiler-filled spoiler cast of Aliens Without Romulans, Alien Romulus, we'd love to pay homage to the wonderful folks on our Patreon squad. If you go over to patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, you do have access at as little as $2 a month to exclusive shows, ad-free shows, early shows, new programs, and other fun benefits, including our brand new Patreon-only podcast party where patrons join Todd, Mark, and myself and record, have a fun time. And apart from Patreon, we're also super excited that we now have over 200 subscribers to our YouTube channel. Sounds like, oh, yeah, really? Well, hey, you're not Khloe Kardashian, Charlie. Who cares? But you know what? It's a big victory for us. We're very excited that people are watching a video just like this one on our YouTube channel. So back to Patreon. If you do visit the site, try us for 7 days for free. And if you want to jump on board, definitely, please, I would say, turn your focus to doing your subscription from the Patreon website. Big corporations like Apple like to take a big chunk if you use an app from their phone. So yeah, if you log on to the desktop, check us out there on the Patreon. You're going to sign up. It'd be great if you do it that way. So anyway, that's enough of the commercial part. Now I'm going to get to the celebration part. On our besties level, we have Chris 1H1D, my buddy Derek Trevelyan, aka the Figure Dude, Francie, who, Todd, as I was telling you in our last recording segment, that is my wife's hairdresser right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Awesome lady. Loves the Patreon that April and I do about bad movies. So, Francie, that makes you the official hairdresser of Secret Friends. Yep. If you live here in West Michigan and you need somebody who specializes in doing curls, because my wife has very curly hair, you want to check Francie out, hit us up. We'll connect you. XEP, or our friend Luke Lore. And I was already talking about my Uncle Tim. Great guy down there in South Haven, Michigan. On the Friends with Benefits level, John Sedorf, Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, Kelly and Crayley, great ladies. Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, and Matthew Keel. And top of the pops, number one, folks, the Secret Friends Super Squad, the awesome, nice family of the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. We are very grateful for your patronage on the Patreon. Again, patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. 7-day free trial. Please use the website and join us for some more fun. But Todd, as we're getting...
Yes. And before we transition, just remember, folks, if you don't have money for the Patreon, totally get it. The best thing you can do is subscribe on our YouTube channel, like our content, share it with others, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube Music, Spotify. That'll help us get the word out about our stuff that we do and let people know you like it and
spread the word.
Check us out. That is well worth your viewership and liking us on the socials as well.
But this is the first cover we've had, or it's the first one I can remember, where we veered into instead of the factual, into the pretend. So what do we got going on here?
Yes. So Charlie, I picked two oddballs this week just because they're one is real, one is not. I'll let you decide which one is real.
Right.
First one is Super Team Family, number 388, 60 cents, presents Vibe and Dazzler. The dance-off you demanded is here. Vibe says, "You got served, Chica. Breakdancing is here to stay." Dazzler said, "That's where you're wrong. Disco will never die."
And they're both dead. Vibe, of course, was the character from over on the CW. That was for Flash. That was what's his butt? Was I can't remember. Yeah, that guy.
Yes.
The guy in the show.
Remember his name. Yeah.
Because it was always
Guy.
Barry,
Yep.
and then it was the woman who turned into Killer Frost, Caitlin, and then there was the dude, and he wasn't he not he Chico, he had a real cool name, Chico or Jericho or something. He had like a cool name, like first name. I'm drawing a blank.
Yes. Yep. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was great on the show. This Vibe, though, was part of the Justice League Detroit team, and he had the ability to basically shake the ground, like Richter or Avalanche or somebody else that basically can control the vibes of the ground, and obviously Dazzler.
I tell you, in Michigan, we already have all the potholes, so I don't know what he was shaking up.
I don't know either. And then of Dazzler, she's our favorite pop star mutant, disco diva, wonderful lady. Probably best known for the X-Men video game back in the day, where she was a member of that team. So, this is great. Love it. We got 80s versus 70s.
Everybody
could be better.
All right, what's the second one here? This is off the beaten path,
Charlie,
I gotta say.
Yeah, so this is amazing. The fact that we had a restaurant called Big Boy creating a comic book called The Adventures of Big Boy, issue 388. We've got a picture of basically Big Boy running out of basically a door, wearing a lot of clothes. He says, "What's happening?" And we've got this woman says, "Wait, Big Boy." And a little dog says, "Too late, Dottie." It's for the young guests of Big Boy Family Restaurants. It's free, but it also says 50 cents. So apparently you can sell this to people, or you can just go to the restaurant and get it for free.
Yeah. Maybe 50 cents is the subscription. A lot of people have, because I worked for one in the past, like a community newspaper where they deliver it anyway, but you can also subscribe. So it's like you're donating. I don't get it. But Big Boy, I have a special affinity for Big Boy. It's from the Metro Detroit area, Warren, Michigan, going way back when. There's not a lot of them around anymore. I don't know if they're outside of the state of Michigan anymore. I have no idea. But this cover doesn't make any sense because Big Boy is very orange in this picture and his hair is orange. But as I was telling Todd in the pre-roll, yes.
That's why, Charlie. But he dyed his hair orange by accident.
As I was telling,
and he's hiding
Todd
out.
In the pre-roll, there was a Big Boy back in the 80s by my house in Grosse Pointe where I grew up, and my brother and I, as little ones, were walking out. My brother turns and looks at the Big Boy statue and said, "Look, it's Ronald Reagan." That's who Big Boy looked like. He was rapping Ronnie. So big old shock of black hair. So yes, I would love to know.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm sure there's no way to find out what Dolly was too late for, why Big Boy is in the parka and the gloves and that like hunter's hat, and why he's running out the front door. It's all, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here.
Yes, and he's an iconic mascot. Big Boy, been in a lot of things, and can't wait to see what comes next for Big Boy. But man, oh man, I don't think the future is bright
it's just
for Big Boy.
it's dwindling. I think we have one or two here in town, but they're tougher to come by. Just gobble gobble. So yes, I bet and I have very fond memories. My grandmother liked the Big Boy by my old house in St. Clair Shores, and we would go there. So I loved it. But anyway, someone else who probably knew Big Boy personally back in the day, that would be our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. Now these days she's out in California, down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, getting us the hottest scoops, all the greatest info. So let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. I know you survived the DNC, Madam Webb. You were there dressed up like the Statue of Liberty, but when people saw you, they saw the creep keeper instead and ran away screaming.
Gracious. Well, Todd, we just had a rousing conversation about a rap connection to this next show. So why don't you...
I'm sure people will figure this one out.
Take it away.
So our first story is we are finally getting the newest version of Salem's Lot from Stephen King. This is going to be an adaptation starring Louis Pullman, Palou Asbeck, and this arrives on Max in October. This is a movie that was apparently so delayed, Stephen King was frustrated. And, at this point, it's, a lot of things have changed since a lot of movies were in development. Where are they going to go? Will they go to theaters or not? And we have been seeing a lot of things rather than go to streaming, they end up going to the theaters. We saw that recently with Alien Romulus. Apparently was supposed to be like Prey, go to Hulu, and then they changed their mind before they went to production, which is a good thing because it can change your approach, your budget. So this one though is coming to Max, and the interesting part about this is there have been this will be the third version of Salem's Lot that's come to the screen of some size.
I don't, you know what? I'm going to admit, and even though, as I've talked about many times, April is a very big Stephen King fan. And when we've been together 11 years, but early on, she got me into watching all these little obscure Stephen King films that I hadn't seen before. I'm just not so sure that I've seen this one. This might've been one we missed. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the cool part. So the book was written in 1975. It's about this family. The first adaptation. It had the David Soul from Starsky and Hutch as the protagonist. Moves into this town called Salem's Lot, and it happens to be chock full of vampires. And it was and I'm trying to find the adaptation. Let's see, adaptations. Here we go. Originally there was a 2-part miniseries in 1979 on CBS. This is the one with David Soul. I like this one a lot. It's very iconic, very fun. I definitely recommend seeing it.
Vibe. So was the second one also a TV movie, or was it a major motion picture?
So in 2004, TNT made a television adaptation starring Rob Lowe, and I saw that one as well. I liked it a lot. And then there had and this is where it goes well, the Castle Rock TV series, which I never saw, but I think it was very cool. Kind of incorporated the Stephen King-averse.
I think we watched that one. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, we definitely did.
So that actually had an episode. It's at the 8th episode, centered around the town, and they had to stop in Jerusalem's Lot. It's actually the city's name is Jerusalem's Lot, but that falls off and it's just Salem's Lot there. And then the theatrical adaptation of this movie was announced in 2019. So this is finally happening. So this is the third, if I want to say it, full version of this adaptation.
Ending up on back to TV. So, yeah, it tried to pop its head up, but the universe, as it were, said nope, TV. But looks like the star is Louis Pullman. Isn't he Bob from Top Gun Maverick, and now he's Bob the Sentry in Thunderbolts? Isn't that the guy?
I could be him. I'd have to look it up. Louis Pullman, he is an actor. Let me see what his credits are. I'm looking it up right now. He was in he was in Top Gun Maverick playing Bob.
And he's
you're right.
Cast as the Sentry, who is named Bob.
Sentry,
in Thunderbolts, which we'll have next year. So,
man, I hope the name of him in this show, regardless of whatever originally intended, he's Bob again. Bob Lot.
Bob Lot. Blah, blah, like Bob, blah, blah.
Below. Yeah, Bob Lot.
And,
yep, he's the founder of Salem's Lot.
Bob Lot, founder of Salem's Lot. It's a song. Everything's a song to me. So, also Alfre Woodard, great actress. And some other names I'm not terribly familiar with. Yeah, as you said, the previous adaptation, 79, was by Toby Hooper, who gave us a Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist. Very, very talented guy. Yeah.
So I would check it out, Charlie. I think you'll enjoy it because it is of a time, and there are some really cool effects. I remember Channel 50 during Shocktober or whatever they called it, creature feature.
Yeah, Counts. Yeah, Counts.
Yeah, they showed it there.
No, he wasn't on TV 50. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I had either 45 or 78 because I grew up in Detroit, as you know, so I was subject to all that fun stuff. So, well, good deal. So yeah, Max in October. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, maybe we'll put that. We could even, Todd, we could even talk about that in Shocktober, since I could hold.
We'll see.
I might hold it back just for Shocktober. So.
That may have
All
to be
right.
one of your picks.
I will.
If you want it to
I
be.
will step forward here. So, okay. Well, let's jump in and talk about some controversial news relating to the world of Star Wars. Now, The Alkalite is the live action program that we had at the beginning of the summer. Very highly anticipated. People were really looking forward to a step outside of your traditional Star Wars continuity of the Skywalker saga or the Clone Wars era, which I know Todd is not a fan of. And this was going to be made by auteur filmmaker Leslie Headland, who gave us Russian Doll, which I've not seen but is very highly acclaimed as I understand it. So there were a lot of, and the trailer gave us like, oh my god, there's Trinity from the Matrix is a character in this, and they got a Wookiee Jedi, and they got this thing and that thing, and it was just, there was a lot of anticipation. And when the show came out, didn't really live up to the expectations of people digging into it. Much like anything with Star Wars, the vitriol came up really quick because it was a very different kind of story. It included a lot of very different kind of elements. You were getting protagonists that were not the white male that the very hardcore, maybe not so great segment of the Star Wars fan base is obsessed with. The show went on for 8 episodes. It started with low viewership. The viewership continued to sink to the point that when it ended, it had the lowest viewership of any Star Wars or MCU Disney Plus original product. So not dreadfully surprising, earlier last week, it was announced that it would not be moving forward with the second season. And certainly there've been things blowing up in both directions. Todd, you came on and talked on Holocron, and of course we'll be digging into this on Holocron this week, Mark and myself, and potentially our friend Joe Colton, who was on with us in our last episode. Now, Todd, I'm trying to remember, you did come on and talk the first episode with us, did you not?
I did, and this just shows a mixed bag. I mean, there were times when it did some cool things, and other times it completely missed the mark. The writing was bad, and the direction I thought was not great. And the actors try as hard as they could. When you've got motivations of a character going, "Oh no, I'm completely changed my
Right.
motivation without any, change," and then completely changing their path. It just was a case of poor execution by the showrunner. And the other part that really hurts this, it was $180 million.
$22.5 million an episode. So if you do the math versus the total minutes of what you divide it out, and again, I don't have that number in front of me, but it's not a good equation. So again,
no,
Mark and I will cut this up. Mark was a fan of the show, is a fan of the show. I
would say there's not much of I'll just put it this way. I don't think there's much of Star Wars that Mark isn't a fan of. And I think he just loves Star Wars, and I think he's just happy to have any Star Wars, regardless if it's the best or the worst. He just likes it, and that's right. Fine.
But in the vein of and I'm not here to dislike it because I do a Star Wars show with Mark because I love Star Wars too. Yeah. But I would simply say this is kind of my final thought on at least this portion of it. I think that they took a swing to do something different in a different vein, to tell a different kind of story, and it didn't resonate with people. For good or for bad, television is a business. Entertainment is a business, and people speak with their wallets. You know what I mean? So, the Fast and Furious movies will eventually end when nobody goes to see them because, as Todd and I have talked about, and we were just joking about it before we got on here, we don't really think they're very good. But there are ardent fans out there. But it becomes, it's the tipping point. How many super fans are there versus regular people who just look at it and say, I don't connect with this for whatever reason. A lot of bad reasons, a lot of valid reasons. But again, very low rated, very expensive. In the low rated piece simply means it didn't connect with people. So to me, it's the Chinese word for crisis and opportunity. It's a crisis because I'm not happy when anybody loses their job because you have dozens, if not hundreds of people involved in producing this that are on the beach looking for new work. That sucks. And I'm sorry, I've gone through that a lot of times myself. I totally get it. But for the franchise overall, it's an opportunity to look at and say, we tried this. People didn't dig it. We're going to have to go in another direction, which come December, we have another program, the Skeleton Key. We've talked about it here. We've talked about it, obviously, over on Holocron. There was a trailer that we got at D23 just a couple of weeks ago. Will be a chance to tell even a different kind of story. Maybe that'll resonate. Maybe it won't. And then if it doesn't, they'll have to course correct from there. Star Wars will go on one way or the other. It's just fine-tuning it down to what people are genuinely interested in. And it's unfortunately it's majority rule. So if the majority of people don't dig it, and the voices, I see petitions flying around, and Todd, you and I both know, the real petition was the people who didn't watch, unfortunately. It's the ratings.
It's the ratings.
Yeah,
it's the
just
ratings.
They can't say we've had one of the more expensive and a low rate. Now Andor was low rated if you look at that scale, but Andor was exceptional television, and they also were already locked in for 2 seasons.
That found an audience and
so
got word of mouth.
Started here and went here, and not started here and went there.
I haven't had anyone reach out, or I haven't seen anyone say, "Oh, you got to watch Acolyte; it's amazing." Or I found Acolyte; it's amazing now. I find a lot of people to say,
or anybody who watched
okay.
Andor and said, "Oh, Andor sucks."
I did not like Andor for the first 4 episodes.
It became
I struggled.
Great.
But I kept on
John,
going back.
Who is our mutual friend and our college roommate, our third secret friend, said, I had to, maybe it was you and him who said, I had to start it twice and watch the first 3 or 4 episodes. And then they get to that 5th episode and it just explodes. That didn't happen with the Acolyte. So, I don't want to bash it. And again, I feel I empathize with people who are now on the beach, as we say in the radio business when you're unemployed. Things will go on. And hopefully there will be lessons to be learned from this, that Star Wars, will try something different. It's a shame that this story won't be resolved. But again, with Star Wars multimedia, there are comics, there are books, there are all kinds of stuff.
I hate to say it. I know exactly where this damn show is going because it's always going back to the same
especially,
thing. And this show was not this wasn't the High Republic. This was the end of the High Republic. So we're not even getting like a truly different era. That's where I struggle. It's like, this is an episode we saw before. A good Jedi going bad and finding another master. And it's like this whole, I feel like we've seen this a billion times, especially with all the Clone Wars and all those stories where they've told stories long about this stuff sort of thing. And I'm like, and then when they dropped in, sorry, spoilers, Yoda, then I'm like, I see exactly what they're doing. They're like, we need to bring in familiar characters. And I would also say at this point, this is year 4 of Disney Plus. We're going year 5 of Star Wars on TV. And quite honestly, it's kind of like the movies. Yep. Limited. You're losing a lot of the mainstream because a lot of the stuff is in the weeds. It's not very user friendly. And that's where I'm hoping Skeleton Crew tells a more simple story that has joy and fun
that people
and
can engage with. I mean, the greatest contrast, or I would say the analogy in Star Wars to Skeleton Key, is the recent Star Trek Prodigy. It's very accessible. It does have things that reward core fans like me, like, oh, this is a this or this is a that. But it's funny because Peter and I are breaking that down on Code, and I was just watching some episodes that we're going to talk about when we record next week. It's very accessible and fun, and you see little character moments and stuff that kids can enjoy, but some stuff is a bigger message that as an adult you can enjoy. That's what Skeleton Key needs to be. So let's keep our fingers crossed that that's what they do, because that would be great.
Yeah, and I think the last word I want to say on this is, we've got to get away from everyone blaming toxic fandom for things failing. I hate to say it, toxic fandom speaks to a very small group of people. It does not impact. It does not. But loudly, what? The people that are paying attention on social, that's a small group compared to the mainstream that don't know about that stuff because they don't care. They're too busy taking care of their kids or actually having a life outside of this small little thing of entertainment. So because of that, good reviews and good word of mouth will do anything for you. The idiots will always speak up, but you know what? There's just as many toxic fandom as positive, prima donnas that are like, oh, they're killing us. I'm like, wait, so you have no pull over good reviews either? I just feel like it's much ado about nothing. You cannot look for reasons to fail that is not due with the product and the ratings.
The product
it's
and the ratings. So great product would ostensibly grow great ratings. But anyway, if you would love to hear an alternate perspective on this, you'll still hear my voice, but you'll also hear Mark. And then, as I said, hopefully our partner, Joe Colton, who's not yet confirmed, when we talk about this on Holocron, which you'll be listening to after this comes out. So, all right, let's move on. A gem from the 1970s 90s. And when I say gem, I mean it had Jon Voight in it, was Anaconda. And as all things are new, there's a reimagining in the works starring Jack Black and Paul Rudd being talked about to star. So, Todd, this movie, let's see, who was the cast of this film? So, Jon Voight,
Jennifer Lopez,
and Kari Wuhrer. Remember when she was a big thing?
Owen Wilson,
right? Ice Cube, exactly.
Kari Wuhrer is not listed on this people list, so Charlie, she might have just been an at.
She was one of the main characters, but yes, it's someone who was she was a teen heartthrob of sorts. She was a
VJ, MTV
yes,
VJ,
a very kind of a sex bomb kind of gal. But anyway, so yes, early talks, those two under writer-director Tom Gormican, who I am not familiar with, but he did helm The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage, which was a lot of fun. Penned Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, which I also thought was kind of fun, and looking to make this movie as well. So details about the project are hazy, but how difficult could it be? Anaconda is a big snake, obviously going down in the Amazon, and the movie was a surprise hit, made $136 million back in 1997, which is a lot of money in today's dollars. So that's not bad for what I'm sure was probably a pretty cheap movie to make, because it was an animatronic snake and a swamp set and explosions and people getting eaten by a snake. Very exciting. I bet this will be a giggle, and major motion picture, but yeah, very early development means it's 2-3 years away, but sounds exciting. And but yeah, with Paul Rudd and with Jack Black, it'll clearly be much more slapstick, because that's what they do.
I'm getting Tropic Thunder vibes when I see the cast, what they're doing, and it might be this is kind of like the untold tale of the cast that tried to make Tropic Thunder or Anaconda first, and they died. Kind of like a Congo, like found footage. We find them. I don't know. There's a lot of ways they could go with this. Would be just amazing and funny and weird, and Paul Rudd's a good guy, but Jack Black, he always helps movies typically. Brings a little bit more joy. Best part of I think the best part of Borderlands is Claptrap.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Come on, Charlie.
Allow it. He was fun. Yeah. He was fun.
Come on. There's a little bit with him. Yeah. Very good, sarcastic, pissed off.
I love it. Yeah. All right, so you sprung this one on me because I watched the trailer right before we got started. Usually I'm a little bit more prepared, but I didn't know. Those of us of a certain age, over the age of 24, or over the age of 24, will remember that the end of 1999 was a big, scary nothing burger called the Y2K. The Y2K virus, the Y2K crisis. Basically, now, Todd, it was all based around the fact that computers, when they were originally programmed, only had the 2 digits, and the 2 digits preceding that were locked in to be 19, because the 1900s, that century that we're from. And the thought process was, once 12/31/99 rolled over to 1100, that the world would explode. But it didn't happen. Todd, you were in Florida. I was here in Michigan. We were fine. But in the yes,
it could have gone badly. I was in Florida, so I was in the middle of nowhere in Florida. Well, I was in Orlando. So same thing. So yeah, if something went wrong, I mean, I could have been stuck there. The traffic lights could stop working. ATMs couldn't access your card. I mean, there are many bad things that could have happened, because computers, unfortunately, if they had a bad program, your flights don't go, maybe air traffic controller system. So it could have been bad. I mean, so that's the thing. And people were trying to prepare for it, getting everything. So I'm guessing if nobody had considered anything to happen, and it did, people were like, well, why didn't we consider this? So it's either you overplan or you don't.
Regardless what happened, we all ended up being fine. But this movie, which is produced by A24, and I did love in this trailer we watched how the A24 shows up on the AOL screen. So it's like when they're doing their logo. I thought that was super cool. This is centered around a group of teenagers, which includes the kid from Deadpool 2, the wildebeest kid, the New Zealand kid, and the young lady who's going to be Snow White, if I'm not mistaken. And yes,
Rachel
and one of the kids from the kid who was Bill in the younger version of the It films. So he was Bill. The main character grows up to be James McAvoy, and a host of other faces that you recognize. But yeah, the Bill, the Bill actor he's the nerd boy. The wildebeest kid is his friend. Ziegler is the unattainable girl. They all end up at the same New Year's Eve party together. The Ziegler girl is with her hunky boyfriend, and then Y2K hits, and the power goes out, and all of the electronics come to life and start murdering these children. So it's absolutely looks fantastic. I'm excited, and this is a Halloween release. Or no, because we saw what it is December release. Yeah, there you go. Which it should come out the very end of December. That would be appropriate. But yeah, this looks like fun. This is definitely one that April and I will go see, because I think it looks like a hoot. Because you're right. It was very much. I know we watched one of those docos about the 90s that a whole episode was about Y2K. And you just have it turns into member berries for us. Like, oh gosh, do you remember when? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we're out of the 80s. I think we're out of the 70s for all the nostalgia. Just now to the 90s and 2000s, which are now 20 years past. So it's right for that. So certain kids of a certain age will be nostalgic for it, the clothing, everything like that. I do love the fact that Chumbawamba is a big part of this movie which is great. You've got a Tamagotchi that just drills someone in their head. You've got VCR tapes coming out at people. It's really before the DVDs came out. You're gonna probably have CDs chopping through people.
No, Todd, it'll be CDs.
And they're
CDRs.
CDRs, absolutely, and and Napster will go insane. It's great. And then Kyle Mooney is the director of this, and there's a scene with him he's playing with whatever those sticks are, the tiki sticks,
because he's a hipster dirtbag. Yeah, exactly. Wearing his drug rug. So very, very, very 90s. So this looks like a blast. Hey everybody, let's make it a big hit. Let's make a big hit so we get. I guess there could be a sequel to this. The 2001.
It'll be some other thing. Yeah, something else we'll have panicked about that didn't happen. I don't know, bird flu 20.
Yeah, exactly. I have to show this trailer to April when I go back upstairs. All right, and then finally we shift gears to a Netflix film with a very malevolent Jeff Goldblum. Oh my goodness, Todd, what do we got going on here? Is it I not familiar with this being either an original IP or maybe it's an adaptation? I'm not familiar.
Okay, this project's called Chaos. It's going to be a Netflix series where essentially we've got the gods of the Greek pantheon basically trying to bring the Earth to an end. Kind of like apocalypse. Kind of like we're going to make you appreciate us or we're going to kill you. And it's basically that. It's essentially we've got Zeus, played by Jeff Goldblum. We've got Cassandra, Billie Piper, who was the first companion Doctor Who, the new one. Medusa, Debbie Mazar, Lackey. I don't know who that character is. That's Eddie Izzard. Well, Susie Eddie Izzard. Let's see. Then we've got God's Riddy, played by Aurora Perrineau. And then we've got a few others as well. And essentially, we've got some people that are brought down to hell in a ferry. This is going to be interesting. So it sounds like it's going to be basically the minor gods are going to get frustrated with the elder gods and try to fight for humanity. But Jeff Goldblum kind of playing a badass and looking kind of grumpy is something we haven't gotten in a while.
His current persona is very satirical, the Grandmaster, and just the apartments commercials he does and all the different ways that you see him on social media. But
he's like the happy weird guy, he's just always kind of playing that he's hosting Jimmy Kimmel and doing all these other things. Back in the day,
he was in The Body Snatchers. He was the David Cronenberg's The Fly, which was the scariest movie I saw when I was a kid. I was 10. It was like, so
Earth Girls are easy.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, so is this another December release? Are we talking about December?
August 29th on Netflix. So this is literally this week.
Well, I will in this Netflix. I'll have to set a reminder because we're
you can set your DVR to record Netflix.
No, we were just watching the third part of that 90s show came out, and it's dumb. I know you never but I just had Netflix up, so I'll have to set a reminder. I'll get an email anyway. Netflix does email us. It's like, this thing's coming on, so we got that going for us.
I do put reminders on Netflix if there's something coming. It'll basically say, set a reminder to tell you it's coming. I'm like, okay.
So, well, cool. Good deal. All right. Well, that wraps up the news. Todd, time to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app, because the Geek Easy awaits. Got to get down to Scugtown, Nastyville. Here comes the cab. Jump on in. That AM radio is blaring quite loudly over the smell of that pine tree perfume air freshener. But as I tune in, I hear this ad.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with a click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on.
We took a break because my feet were cold. I had to go get shoes. And Todd's like, let's just go get some beer. So we both did it. So I am drinking. Let's do that, from Dark Horse in Marshall, Michigan. This is actually, by way of Roke Brewing, Royal Oak, Michigan. This is a peanut butter stout.
Oh.
In my Captain America glass, which Todd got for me as a gift about 8 years ago.
So if anyone's listening and has any breweries, we can definitely drink your beverage and highlight you on the show. Let us know.
Whether
yeah, absolutely. We
whether
take
money is involved or not, we could just do it for the hell of it.
We take liquid bribes. Like
yes,
is all I'll say.
If you're a brewer who's listening to our show, hit us up on secretfriendsunited@gmail.com or on any of our socials. All right. Well, let's talk stuff we've been enjoying. Todd, what you got going on? Besides the fact that, we were together for the first time in 3 years at Fan Expo Chicago, which was quite an experience, up and down. I haven't been butts to nuts with that many people in an awfully long time, but we still had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the highlight of that trip was being at the William Shatner panel. We were in the front row. Yeah. Kirk, our good buddy, got us those seats, and it was fun to meet Kurt and also be in the front row for a Shatner panel, which essentially was about nothing but him just telling stories.
Reverse heckling. He reverse heckles people ask him questions, and it's not my first. This is my second time seeing Shatner, and I got heckled by him personally the first time. It was really great. So, but anyway, yes, that was a good time. And Todd, we had plans to find a bigger show in a different location the next time we get together. But more on that in the future. But anyway, what have you been enjoying since you've been back from Chicago?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, back into the grind. It's kind of a soft time for big shows. You know, it's not spooky time, no football, things like that. So for me, I'm like, what's out there? So I just happened to see this. There's a demo for the Funko Fusion game, which I know normally wouldn't talk about it, but I know Charlie's been a big Lego fan for years. Yeah, those games. But there's been kind of a dry spell since the Star Wars game.
April and I played the hell out of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Adventure, but that's been almost 3 years ago because that came out in like April of 22. So yeah, over 2.5 years ago.
There is a new Lego game. I don't know if you'd have an interest. It's about a Sony property, but it looks very cute. It's called Horizon Zero Dawn. It's kind of like people. It's like these people that are in this weird post-apocalyptic future where essentially it's turned into look like prehistoric times, and this virus has turned like animals into these robots, so you have to kill them all and get their parts. So they're making a Lego game. It's very comedic and funny, and you're killing all these robots for all their parts. So it kind of works for Lego. So,
but again, but anyway, tell us about Funko. So what's this? So Funko kind of being contemporaneous with Logo, and I had with
Funko Pops.
Because and I've always had this real love-hate relationship with Pops. I feel that they're so dime a dozen, yet I have a ton. There are definitely a share of them in the house because they're very accessible. They make, if you have seen it or enjoyed it in the world, there's doubtlessly a Pop made of it. They keep coming out. They keep going on clearance at Target, but they still keep cranking them out.
I have a Whitney Houston Funko Pop that I was given when I went to a taping of a TV show because it was her new movie. The movie about her was coming out and they gave away. So that's like the weirdest Funko Pop I have. Do you have like one weird Funko Pop?
I do have Biz Marquee. I do have the Kool-Aid Man. I'm a personal fan of the Kool-Aid Man.
Biz Marquee? Is there like a rap line?
That's just the thing about Funkos. There's a line of everything. We have, because it came in a pack, the little marshmallow guys from the newer Ghostbuster ones. The guy with it, that's for April. She likes cutesy stuff. But there's a smattering of them all over the house. Marvel ones, G.I. Joe, some Star Trek ones. They're definitely around.
They're the perfect geek gift for anybody because every franchise is there pretty much.
They're accessible and they're cheap, and they'll never stop making them. So anyway, what happens in this game?
So this game is really cool because it is kind of touching that Lego fun, goofy mashup of worlds, kind of like Lego Dimensions, but it is using all of these different franchises. The mechanics are very much like a Lego game. You have shooting, you have melee attacks, you have special abilities, you can get health packs, you can get different weapons stuff. It's kind of cool. And then you can swap out of different characters from different properties, which is very fun. So the demo came out, and essentially it starts you off with in the world of The Thing. You think of like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Perfect for kids, I guess.
Exactly. It's got the music. You're in the Frozen era, and you can play in four of the different main protagonists from The Thing.
I gotta be Kurt Russell, or Keith David.
Kurt Russell. You've got Keith David. You've got the one old guy, and then the young black guy who can't remember his name.
Yeah.
No, not Keith David. There was the young black guy who's been like a comedic guy.
I
can't remember his name.
Movie in a long time. Yep. Okay, so.
But it's got the music, and then you've got that, and you've got different worlds you land in, missions. You collect little orbs to give you things to buy, things like money, and you hit them.
And stuff, kind of like,
it's kind of like that. And then but you can use that to purchase like health potions and different things, and you've got objectives that you have to do. So you start off there, but it's very fun. I think it looks really cool. The Funko Pops look amazing in this. It's really fun. Everyone has a little bit different abilities, different weapons. Like one guy's got a shotgun, one's got a revolver, one's got a flamethrower, one has got a.
What other properties are they working into it, or don't you know?
You'll love this. This is where it gets exciting. There are a million properties and things, so I'm going to go through them very quickly. Charlie, Back to the Future, Battlestar Galactica, Child's Play, Five Nights at Freddy's. Funko, so like Funko, Freddy Funko, whatever his name is in there.
Properties so far.
Yep. Hot Fuzz, Invincible, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Knight Rider, Masters of the Universe, Megan, Mega Man, The Mummy, Nope, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Shaun of the Dead, Team Fortress, The Umbrella Academy, Universal Classic Monsters, The Walking Dead, Voltron Legendary Defender, and Xeno Warrior Princess.
Like yesterday. When does this game come out at? I
know. It's coming out. So it's coming out on like the next gen consoles in September, and then it's coming out on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 November 15th. So you can definitely play it with your PlayStation.
I gotta have it.
And it's co-op too, Charlie. I believe it's single player, multiplayer. So you potentially could play this with April, or you and I could play it online together, which is the dream we've always had with Lego. But it's like, no, we don't do that.
All right.
Yes,
Well, I'm going to put you in charge of
yeah.
making sure that I don't forget about it. And I'm all about it. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm excited.
Yeah. So it's super cute, very fun. I played the demo on PC. I don't think there may be a demo on PlayStation. I don't know. I haven't looked, but if there is, I'll let you know. Yes. And the other thing I read was a really unique comic that I saw like advertised, and it's right up my wheelhouse, Charlie. You know how I love like the creepy stuff, the spooky stuff. Well, there's a new comic. New is within the last year. It's called Serial. It's called Serial, Sweet Darkness. This is a goofy book. So if you can see in front of me, Charlie,
and it's
essentially monsters.
But why is it serial? Okay. What's up with that?
So I will read you the background. It's What We Do in the Shadows meets Monster Squad.
Kick 'em in the nards.
It's the Marquis de Coco recently transformed into a vampire, emerges from his castle's crypt to face a deadly ordeal. He must brave the agony of sunrise and host another of his sumptuous breakfast parties he is known for, lest the townsfolk suspect what he's become and drive a stake through his heart. Other abominations, a creature composed of cadaver parts, a specter, a lycanthrope, a leprechaun, arise to face dangers of their own in this epic comedy of terror and tragedy. This is a tongue-in-cheek book. It is funny. Serial's involved, and it's just a delight. Lots of like different art styles. It's goofy, it's funny, and it's by Mark Russell, and Peter Snyberg did some of the art from The Boys. So I mean it's fun. It's I think it's 5 chapters, and the art style's pretty good, but it's just goofy. It's like Count de Coco, and they talk about the cereal, and they have other characters like something about like Boo Berry, and then they have a Captain Crunch.
Right up your alleyway.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Fruit Brute, the Leprechaun guy. I mean, it's a hoot. I loved it. It's fun. It is $18, and it is produced by Ahoy Comics, which I've never heard of before.
Yeah,
but why not? But if you're looking for something a little bit different,
that out there
it's
on
fun.
Kindle as well? Is it produced digitally? Okay.
I'm assuming yes. I bought the physical copy because I'm like, I gotta check this out.
Good deal. All right. Well, we went to the cinema, and it's funny. We're right at the end of our summer movie season. We've got a couple of things to come into place, and then you and I will be able to schedule our summer movie wrap up with John when it's all said and done, like probably middle of September. But we went to go see. It was funny. I was tracking down the movies. This was the last one on the list of movies coming out. It's called Blink Twice. Written, but at least directed by Zoe Kravitz. Interestingly enough, this may be her directorial debut. But we're getting a Deadliest Game. The deadliest catch is man. You have a woman who, it was something that you mentioned that you were watching earlier. The star, she was the star of young black woman. She was the star. She was one of the characters in. It was something that you talked about that you watched. I'm drawing a blank, but regardless, the star, she was Jannah in the last Star Wars movie, one of the ex-stormtroopers that they find on that planet that joins the cause, and she and Finn become great buddies. She's I had to look it up afterwards. And then what's her nuts, whose name I'm forgetting from Arrested Development, Ashley Bagwater. What the hell is her name?
Oh, the kid, the daughter,
exactly.
The daughter, right? Yeah. I was wondering where she was from. Like,
it's kind of the cousin loving, but basically the setup to this, I'm not going to spoil a lot because the twist of it. It's the first movie that I've ever gone to see that had a trigger warning and a little card outside the door, and then it had a trigger warning as a title card before the film started. I won't tell you what the trigger warning is. It does have to do with violence and terror and sexual violence. So I will tell you that.
Isn't that implied, like in horror films?
That's what I found. Films? But remember, you've got a young director who's a woman, and she decided to kind of take it to a different place, I guess. But anyway, you've got what you would imagine is a kind of a typical story. You've got a rich jackass who's played by Channing Tatum. He's got a bunch of rich jackass friends, which happen to include actor Simon Rex, Christian Slater.
Wait. Did you say Simon Rex?
From the Scary Movies? Wasn't that his name? Simon Rex?
Yes, wasn't, and I believe he started off as an MTV VJ.
Yeah, so Christian Slater is the older
Wow.
group. Gina Davis is in this. She's also one of the group. I know it's very weird.
What?
And then who is the last person? Oh, Haley Joel Osment is his, hipster buddy. Yeah,
What?
I know. So they're a bunch of rich dicks, and our main character and the young lady from Arrested Development, they're servers at a restaurant. They're serving this fancy party. Our protagonist strikes up a conversation with Channing Tatum's character, who we know he is a billionaire who had a big scandal, and then he disappeared for a while. He bought an island. That doesn't sound suspicious. Came back, made this big public apology. Now he's back on the scene again. So at any rate, at this party, he says to the two girls, "Why don't you come back to the island with us?" So they end up on this private plane. One of the other girls was Bix in Andor, whose name I can never remember. Very attractive young lady. And then two other girls that you've never heard of. And they go out to this island, and it's nothing but drinking champagne and smoking weed. And our main character starts to notice as time goes by strange little things. Dirt under her fingernails. My feet are always filthy. And you're seeing these exchanges of the girls running, and you don't know what they're running from. And that's the psychological terror that you see throughout this film. So it had a weird ending too. I think April liked it more than I did, because I thought, well, there's the dialogue seems very pablum, but the concept of it is very scary.
So should I just make a guess, Charlie? I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to do a Tata show projection. Is it the fact that these people are sworn to secrecy? They are the prey, and if they survive, they can't tell anyone? Or is it maybe they're drugged and they don't remember, but they've survived the night?
There's elements of the second thing that you said, but I won't say much more. But the first thing you said, no, that's not correct. Yeah.
Okay. And I will tell you, I'm looking at the cast list right now. The woman I think you were mentioning was Naomi Ackie. Yep. She was in Rise of Skywalker. The woman that is from Dressed Development is Alia Shawkat. And guess what? Talk about Nepo babies. Levon Rowan Thurman Hawk is in this. This is the brother of Mia Hawke.
He did look quite. He looked. He was this young blonde, piece of man candy. Yeah, big deal. So it's interesting. I think it's tracking 6 or 7 million, so it's a small movie doing small bucks. But you know what? It was interesting, but I thought the end was kind of like, that it didn't really make a lot of sense. The main choice that our main character makes at the end didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Charlie, I'm a little upset that you didn't mention that. You said this is the last movie of the summer. You failed to mention The Crow. Come on,
really,
give
Todd,
The Crow
did I
props.
fail to mention The Crow, or did I intend not to mention The Crow?
Okay, I will be seeing The Crow probably next this week, Friday. Todd, I have this morbid curiosity
for 2015 scenario. You're seeing it so that I don't have to, because I'll never see it. It looks
perfect. Exactly. I put my membership from CMX to good work.
And that's why April and I see so many of these movies that you're like, I wouldn't pay to see this, or I would wait for streaming to see this.
Yeah, $15 a month, I can see 2 movies. That's cheaper than going and picking up a ticket day of. And Charlie, one last movie that might, win the box office. That is, this is, I don't want to say Randy Quaid. It's Dennis Quaid playing Ronald Reagan.
Right,
in the movie
I did see that. I would be interested, but I will wait for streaming. All right, so in a couple of quick hits, because it's not too substantive. Penultimate issue of Marvel's 2020 Star Wars run, taking us right up to Return of the Jedi. So this is a series, again,
So are they going to relaunch it as Empire Strikes Back Part 1?
No, I said it takes us up to Return of the Jedi. So, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be called Return of the Jedi then? Or are they just going to keep calling it Star Wars?
Marvel took over the property. I've talked about this before. In 2015, called Star Wars, started immediately after Episode 4, ran for 75 issues, ended just before Empire Strikes Back. Volume 2 started, which was right after Empire. It's now run 50 issues. And it was, time period-wise in Star Wars, it was 3 years between Episodes 4 and 5, and about a year and a couple of months between Episodes 5 and 6. So 75 issues versus 50 issues. They crammed a lot more into Volume 2. What is going to... Go ahead.
So,
I'm doing the math. I wouldn't.
So the title started... So the title started in 2015. It's 2024. Right. They've only done 50 issues?
75 issues in volume 1, 50 issues in volume 2.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
now I get it.
exactly.
But
I'm just saying.
Now I get it.
Volume
125
2,
issues
they
total.
packed in a whole lot more. What is happening, according to
Yeah.
the solicits for October and November and December, they are doing a 3-issue miniseries that is the end, is what is a story that has already been told, which is the actual end of the war, which takes place 1 year after Return of the Jedi, over Jakku, the Battle of Jakku, which we then see Jakku in episode 7. And what happens from there will start to be stories that take place in the post-Return of the Jedi era, which is what we have talked on this show about wanting to see for a very long time. I follow the titles.
But not on the comic page. On the screen.
Comic page is cheaper. They don't have to pay any actors. I will say that volume 2, this is one that I actually, instead of just reading it, a Marvel Unlimited, I do an actual subscription because I got so into the story. I really enjoyed the story. They told some good perspectives about Luke's journey after Yoda to become a Jedi, and there was a lot of facets to that that I really enjoyed. I will admit that volume 1, everybody gets lightsabers, and the Mon Calamari, who's also General Grievous, that was not so good. Volume 1 got better. That back half of volume 1 was a little easier to read than the front half. So anyway, yeah, it's out there now. I snagged it obviously off of Kindle, but again, please visit your local comic book shop where they will have trades for those various issues, which is always easier than collecting single issues, as you know. Super quick, we finished Young Sheldon, which I talked about. Haven't seen season 7. Todd and I had a big...
Charlie!
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know.
I mean,
I know how it ends, but I like to see how it ends. But while April and I were watching it, and this is our background show, she's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing on the laptop. She's working on her stuff. I'm working on stuff for the show and whatever. And so we just have it on. So we started watching The Big Bang Theory again, which is what spawned, obviously, Young Sheldon. Started in 2007. 2007, that show came out. It was on for 12 seasons. It started out slow, but it became enormously popular. We just started season 5. It's a sitcom, so they have a lot of implausible, dumb sitcom developments. It's not brilliant. It's not the worst thing in the world that people say, oh, they're just making fun of nerds or whatever. It's just it's sitcom humor. Some of it is kind of sharp sometimes. Some of it just falls flat, but we're having a good time watching it. It's on Max, and the final season of Young Sheldon will also be on Max at some point soon, but I'm pissed because I really want to see it because there is another spinoff of that show detailing the misadventures of Sheldon's older brother and his baby mama, who he marries, who is actually Haley Joel Osment's sister. Haley, is it Haley? Emily, there
Emily
you go.
Osment?
Yeah,
Is
and
it Emily Osment?
it's called.
There you go.
It's called,
spooky.
I know. What are you doing there? It's called, that show is called Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage. I don't know why. I don't know why. But yeah, they have a babe.
It's like this is my welcome to my first wife. When if you're not getting along.
What are you doing with that light? What's going on here? You're gonna.
I had to turn my light. Hold on, let me. It died because it's a thing. So I'm seeing my light.
Stop it!
Don't get blinded.
You're killing me.
Yes. It's recording.
All right. All right. That's fine. That's fine. So, all right.
Good times. Folks, this is how the sausage is made.
Absolutely love it.
But
at any
enjoy
rate,
it.
Big Bang Theory is fun, but yeah, is it something special? Nothing that it's a sitcom is special. It's just it's a good time. We enjoy it. Yes,
Charlie. Just let you know. Update. Season 7 is purchasable on Amazon. It is purchasable on.
We did talk
service.
about that, but I'm because.
It's $25 on Amazon, Charlie.
I'm
Use some of your free
waiting.
credits.
I'm waiting. All right. Well, anyway, that is the end of the Geek Easy. Time to get out of here. Spit in your drink. No, excuse me. Somebody did spit in my drink, so I'm not paying for these French fries. But I've got out my air. Forget about it. It's like our very kindly server at the piano bar.
Or your fine service at
oh my
server
God!
at Marie's.
Yes, we're not. You know what? Somebody could be listening. But anyway, I've got out my Air Qantas app. Got to get that plane ticket to the land down under because Hologram Tina and the mutants are waiting for us to take a journey to the stars for Alien, Romulus, less the Romulans. Let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Facehugger.
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered.
It was Facehugger.
Man, messing up my groove, Mr. Carden. Once again, thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week we are talking about Alien Romulus and a little history about the Alien movies before we get all in this. But Alien Romulus is August 16th, 2024. It debuted. Fede Alvarez is the director, $80 million budget. 20th Century Studios, based on characters by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shuzette, and cinematography by Galo Oliveras. Basically, the tagline is space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe while scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station. This includes actors, including Kaylee Spaney, David Johnson, and Archie Renault as Elizabeth Merced, Spike Fern, Aileen Wu, Rosie Eade, Soma Simon, Ben Olke, Victor Orzu, Trevor Newland playing the Xenomorph, Robert Bobrovsky playing the Offspring. Wow, he's weird. Anna Marie Griggs.
Small things. That was Blink-182, sorry.
Yep. And then Ian Holm has a unique appearance in this film. They dug him up too.
And they made him another model of the character he played in the original film.
I ate him.
Exactly. Well, that does happen several points in this movie. I ate him.
Exactly. It's kind of like the our president said, the I ate. They AI'd the crowd.
They AI'd all the aliens. Though, that being said, this was purported to be a very much a return to more practical effects. So, puppets and dude in a suit.
Absolutely.
Though, this spurned on April and I watching. We watched 4 of the 5 movies. No, wait, 5 of the 6 movies, because there was Alien in 1979. The Spectacular Aliens, 1986, James Cameron, one of the films that really
okay, I'm gonna fact check you here, Charlie. Alien, 1979, you got it right. Aliens, 1987.
Six. You had Alien
87. I'm looking at
let me finish here. Alien Resurrection, 1997, total piece of garbage. It was
Alien 3,
thank
92.
you very much. So that's 3 films. Now we're up to 4. Alien 3 was while the storyline was bold, the effects were got off because it was largely CGI.
I remember seeing that.
The alien was absolutely dreadful.
Winona Ryder,
that was the 4th
in that one. Was
that
the prison film?
Was 3. Winona Ryder, the 4th one does a time jump of like 200 years and takes place
right.
And it
Winona
takes
Ryder,
place
the daughter
on
of
a spaceship, but it is god awful. It's very French. Terrible, lots of slow-mo. It's very gross. Brad Dourif shows up, so that changes a lot. Then, for a long time,
so does Rock from the Fox show. Rock shows up in that film too.
The 4th one,
it was a 3. Yeah, they're all falling apart in my brain.
We took a big jump, and then we went to Prometheus, which we didn't watch it again. That was 2012, and then we did watch Covenant. Which was in 2017. April and I saw that in the theater, but as we're watching it at home, she was like, I don't remember any of this. I said, I swear to God, we saw this in the theater. I remember seeing it in the theater.
Never saw it.
And it was good. That one had Billy Crudup. It had my beloved Danny McBride was in it. It had Catherine Waterston from those terrible Harry Potter movies. And both the connective tissue between Prometheus and Covenant was Michael Fassbender was an android. And he was two models of the same android in those films.
Got it. And then Charlie, what you forgot to mention was the most exciting of all these films were Alien versus Predator in 2004, Alien versus Predator Requiem 2000.
I enjoyed the first one, and the second one was unwatchable because it was like low budget Canadian horror. It was bad. It was really bad. The second one, and it even had Rico Aylesworth from 24, who's like, hey, that's a face I know, but it was bad. It was real bad.
Yep. We are getting an Alien television series called Alien Earth in 2025, and there was a web series called Alien Isolation, which is based on the video game that came out in 2019. So I didn't know they did a thing with it.
That's the exact reason you didn't know anything about it, because it's very inside baseball to have a web series based on a video game. You're not going to get a lot of people that know anything about it.
And the video game is acclaimed. There's been Aliens vs. Predator, the video game. There's been tons
lots of media, lots of great comics.
The
Weekly Planet guys talked a lot about some of the great comics, and so but like I think you're a great example. The ones that have been produced in the 2000s, you don't really you haven't seen one. You saw one, you didn't see the other one, and
No.
the ones from again from 70s and the 80s and then the 90s. You remember Aliens. I mean, even though Alien itself was very bold, very audacious, it was a suspense thriller horror film. There was one alien, they couldn't kill it, you barely ever saw it, but when you did, it was terrifying, even though the puppet effects, it didn't
It's
really
a
knock
horror
your
film.
socks off. Where Aliens is a rip roaring action film with Marines and big scary guns, and there's a zillion of the aliens, and you have some of the most iconic female action star stuff that happens with Sigourney Weaver, and rescuing
Ripley,
this orphan child Newt. The third film, super depressing. The use CGI that was just absolutely beyond the pale awful.
Ripley baby, all these weird stuff.
When you get into the fourth one, it takes everything bad about the third one and amplifies it by about 5,000. It's so 90s that Joss Whedon should have been in there, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was terrible. It was
very French. It was probably the guy who made The Fifth Element was probably involved.
Or they were cousins.
My guess.
Yeah, or
Luc
they were
Besson?
cousins. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So getting into this film, let's talk about something good. So super quick recap, and this is again spoilers. So we haven't said much, but we're gonna say it now. So spoilers. So we have a young woman living on a colony world. I first thought, oh, maybe this is Ripley's daughter, because this is set 20 years after Alien. So you jump it forward 20 years, and the opening sequence. So before we get to the young lady who I thought, oh God, this could be Ripley's daughter. She's not. But the opening sequence is ship flying through space, coming up to a debris field. And one of the panels turns around and it says Nostromo, which is the name of the big mining ship that Ripley had to destroy and flee at the end of Alien. They collect a big space glob and pull it onto their ship, and it's just like, why these alien movies turn into Jurassic Park so fast. It was like the dinosaurs killed you in the first one, you went back for more like 8 times. They're always the same thing with the aliens. Oh, the company wants it for their weapons division. Really?
Mr. Wayland Utani can't be satisfied, Charlie.
Let's give them another chance to kill. So anyway, they collect this ship collects the space glob, they take it in, they're going to defrost it, and then that's the cold open of the movie. Then we go to the credits, and then we end up on this colony world with this nice young lady. It's Kaylee Spivany, who was in the Civil War. Yeah, that we saw. She was a Civil War movie. She was Priscilla in the Priscilla movie that Sofia Coppola did recently, which was pretty good. She's living a shitty life. Her dad had passed away, but before doing so, he resuscitated a damaged android who is the black actor who appears in this, whose name I've already scrolled away from the credits list. David Johnson, who is acclaimed for his acclaimed for his role in this, because later on in the film, while he's kind of a damaged robot, can't talk much, can't walk right. Later on in the film, he does get repaired, and he acts very differently, and it's a driving point of the plot. She thinks she's getting out, but she's stuck there because the company has her stuck there. She's like, how am I going to get away? And she visits her.
It's got quota hours in, Charlie.
I got
quota hours in.
It's working at an evil general. It's like an anti-union working like a Ford plant or something. It's terrible.
And everybody dies because apparently all of the fumes from the mine, and they bring in canaries. I mean, quite on the spot, canary in the coal mine.
You literally see one. But anyway, she's like, I got to figure out a way out of this. So she visits all of her scumbag friends, hang out together, and they're like,
It's the cast of Hackers. Oh my God,
you're right.
By the way,
crash and burn. They basically say, hey, there's a derelict whatever in orbit, and we happen to know that it's got some sleeping pods, and if we go steal the sleeping pods, we can sleep our way to this planet, which is like 2 years away, and everything we just have to go up there and steal it. But we got to take your robot buddy, because he can do the beep bop boop and get us in there. So like, okay, it sounds like a great idea. It's not a great idea. Exactly. So they fly up there, and the android Andy does beep bop boop, and they get in and quickly figure out that this is the place. The station is called. It's a two-sided space station. Romulus and Remus. There are no Romulans in this. I was super disappointed. Wanted to see at least a couple, or Vulcans, or anything, or the Remans. Or Romans, none of that stuff. But anyway, we quickly figure out that the space station is where the ship from the beginning took the frozen thing, which turns out as they go through and they find a destroyed copy of Ian Holmes' character, which was called Ash in the original film. This character is called Rook. They did some great deep fake on his face. I thought it looked it's great, you know, and again, this was pointed out listening to another podcast. It varies. If you look at it a little bit, it looks great. If you look at it too long, it turns very much the Uncanny Valley, you know, Governor Tarkin kind of deal. That's very true. That's a good point. So he does reveal to them that this was the ship and they defrosted the thing. Exact same alien that Ripley thought she killed because he had a harpoon stuck in the back of him. But it comes back to life and he spits out, he's a queen, or that creature is a queen, spits out more face huggers, which doesn't take too long for them to find the characters. You know, the first one to go is is Aileen Wu's character of Navarro, and this came from the trailer. She had this weird little X-ray wand thing where she's like, "Oh, I feel sick," and she holds it behind her back. Yeah. You see the little thing going, blah, blah, and it's this very slow it being born. It's not quick like it was with John Hurt in the first film, but she's all cricking and crapping, and she's foaming at the mouth, and it doesn't burst out of her chest; it just cracks her rib cage, and then it's like, "Hello," and it goes, "Hello, little mouth," and then it do.
It was interesting because you did get to see, because their whole intent to get the cryo stuff to fuel the tubes was, it was amazing how many face huggers there were that apparently they didn't see or they didn't notice. And they're looking around, and obviously the temperature starts increasing once they take out the cryo, because that's what's keeping them cold. They take it out. You start seeing the temperature going like, and you start saying, "Oh crap, I see what's going to happen." Yeah. And there is an army of these things, and this is going to go horribly. You see,
you know, and it was really, a lot of it was revealed quite expertly in the trailers, because you see the characters running and like 100 face huggers following them. You get a great sequence later on in the movie where they play with the artificial gravity. Because you know, when unsurprisingly, all of the human characters get killed off, with the exception of Isabella Merced's character of Kay, is pregnant. She's a young, scared, pregnant girl. And they tie in the lab, the whole reason they're experimenting on the alien is to help create this substance, which is supposed to make people immortal.
Make it's the next evolution of humans. It's supposed to be a thing. They do find their whole test subject was like
white rat.
Rat.
Exactly. Right.
They kill. They inject it. It comes back. But then we find out, that did not go well, because we see the rat is turned into this monster. That is so not
Kay,
great.
The pregnant woman, gets injured, and she's bleeding from the neck, and they're running back trying to get to the safety of their shuttle while everything's going on around them. And she has the substance, and it has a 25% chance of turning you into a monster. She's like, "Well, this is all I got." And when she's alone, she sticks it into herself, and then some bad stuff happens.
Yeah, because I mean, the goal was to get her to the cryopod, freeze her because she's with child, and hopefully, I'm a little concerned. I don't know how that exactly works, Charlie. Because if you're pregnant, is everything frozen? Like the baby's not going to be born in that time or everything, because you're frozen. Total, biological processes have halted. I assume,
like the Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? Like they froze him, and that's why he never aged, because he would just be frozen in time.
Okay.
But it doesn't work out, because she injects herself, and then she gives birth to this like little weird pod, and that's when Rain, who's Kaylee Spaney's character, comes back, and she takes this, like, basically it looks like a walnut, and when it cracks open, it's got acid in it, and it has a rapidly evolving nightmare baby, a 9-foot tall alien baby thing with a weird, like, almost like female reproductive organ right at the bottom. I noticed it was nightmare fuel.
Weird, very tall, like thin man, weird creepy teeth, and then it has like a tongue that actually is like it's almost like a straw, which is good for like sucking out stuff.
Exactly. So then obviously, we're in the third act of the film, and there's a showdown. Everybody's dead now, because then obviously Kay dies as well.
Well, what we haven't touched upon yet is the transformation of David. So David, we find out that David only has codes that are
Right.
of a certain time. So we find out there's areas he can't get into, and he basically needs an upgrade. So they do find the body
Rook,
of Rook,
his
and
chip.
they take his
He's got
chip.
a little
put
bit.
it in
Remember those little
David.
mini CDs they had back in the 90s? Yeah,
Mini
exactly.
CDs from Sony. Yeah, that's the greatest tech in the world. It can handle sci-fi because it actually went on and did something. They put it in David's head, and he's had other instances where his tech fails and he needs to be rebooted essentially. So that's where Wayne has gone in and
it's almost
helped
like
him.
sticking a fork in something.
It's a
Yeah.
wind-up toy.
Yeah,
It's like a wind-up toy, right?
And
Almost
it's,
it's
3
the
to
way
the
she winds
left,
it.
2 to the right, 3 to the left again. Yeah.
It winds him up, gets him back in. So this upgrades him essentially to a modern cybernetic. Essentially, it overwrites his directive, which was just to protect Rain at any cost, to essentially basically serve Weyland Yutani and make sure the mission goes forward.
Into a corpo-bot. Yeah.
He becomes Mr. Business.
President Business. Business.
President's business. Yeah, he's all business. He's
business kitty.
fast.
Business. Is this working? Yes. Yay!
Yep. Yeah, so he's very fast. He can be critical in thinking. He's all about decisions. Hey, if more humans will live than die, even though a couple die, I'm going to make that decision because I will protect and make the right decision. You can't.
Yeah. So it's the ultimate AI scare. But ultimately, he does. He comes back to the place where he's helping. He's helping Kaylee out. So yes, we're into the third act now, if I might, and it's Kaylee versus the giant man baby thingy. She's alone on the ship, but she realizes if she lures him into the cargo container, she can flush it because the alien Romulus space station was in orbit of this planet, which was a ringed planet like Saturn, and it descended. Yeah, it continued to decay in its orbit that it just destroyed itself into the rings. And of course, the rings are just made out of rocks anyway, frozen ice. And so. Yeah,
it's like a record.
Right.
It's like a record.
So that was the record needle scratch, exactly. Yeah. But the same thing is happening. Will happen to the cargo ship they're in if they don't correct it. So it's continuing to sink, and she's got to get rid of the alien. So she does lure it down to the cargo deck, and they go back and forth, and it comes even to the point where she is, stuck out there, but then does dump it, and then the creature gets dumped as well. Or so you would think, because that's what you thought happened with the first alien back in the first Aliens, but it didn't end up being that way. So,
yeah. One note: David is basically killed. I mean, that's the first tragedy when he discovers the weird baby. It gets killed, so she can't help him, and everything goes awry. We know how this is going, but essentially, we then get Rain's the only one living, who is then going to basically she leaves a log,
much like
to anyone.
Much
we'll
like
find her
much
in
like
the future,
like Ripley's log at the end of Alien and at Aliens. So and then she, because the cargo pod is saved, she puts herself in it and then sets the cargo ship on the destination for wherever it is that they were going originally. And she's
I think the planet from Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon,
or maybe Pandora to get some unobtainium. Yeah,
maybe there's wheat fields involved. Is all I know.
There's nothing that says prosperity but wheat fields. And that's the end. So, so Todd, you've seen 1 through 4. You have not seen Prometheus, and you didn't see.
Okay. No, I saw Prometheus. Okay. I didn't see Covenant because I'm like Prometheus was such a weird bag.
It was really straight, and I just had to watch the recap. Yeah, because Prometheus was in the ancient times. There was these big, tall creatures, and they were the first form of life on Earth, and blah blah blah. So it was really, they really stretched it out. So so this is a return to the pure roots, but the big, tall man baby alien creature came from. It came more from Prometheus, and then also Covenant, because the two because alien movies in the modern era are all named after a ship they take place on. So the next one could be
Well, Prometheus is supposed to be like the god of creation, right?
Yeah,
so that's one thing. Romulus and Remus. Romulus and Remus is the birthplace of civilization. So within the next
one
babies
will be called Tahiti or something. I don't know. But at any rate, so they did take classic elements of the first few films. They tied it directly back to the original film.
Yes.
They took elements from Prometheus and Covenant and they mashed them together, also paying homage to the weird Ripley baby that came in the fourth one in Resurrection. So this movie does manage to, and they paid homage back to the Colonial Marines, which was a big part of Aliens in 1986.
Yep.
So this does successfully, in my opinion, touch everything that came before it and combine it in a way that I think works. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think they pull it off?
I think they pulled it off very well, considering all of the history and all the things, what's canon, what's not, and trying to be respectful, but obviously bringing it back to a place of horror, and also, and bringing in new characters that nobody knew they didn't have a relationship with. Bringing Rook from the past was really cool. Using some of the new ideas, which was like, hey, play with the gravity, so you can use the acid and play around with that. The cool machine guns that's auto-targeted, and a lot of physical effects that worked. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, and a lot of it though was really the beginning when they're in outer space, launching onto the station. The sound and the soundtrack was amazing. I loved it. It made me feel like, wow, this feels like something. Kind of like the old times with like Star Trek, when they would do like their outside things. They'd be very cinematic score and make you feel like the awe of outer space. And when they're leaving, even gravity, the environment of the mining planet, going above that was treacherous. And then they go above, and you see the beautiful sun. Finally, they said, "I've never seen the sun before." So, I really dug it. And I just like the weird ragtag group of characters. I just thought that was a big win. Yes, they really swung hard for that weird alien baby at the end, which was fine.
Yeah, that was
we
a
needed
reach
that
again. Like I said, they touched, because again, 4 original films, 2 newer films, so 6 films. There was a piece of it in everything, and it's like a place where that was tried recently, and I feel like didn't succeed, was like the last season of Star Trek Discovery. They tried to plug in something from all of the other 9 series that came before it, and a lot of it seemed like a reach. This was not a reach. It seemed very effortless that they plugged it in. So yeah, I was impressed. I think they did well. I think the success on an $80 million budget, they're not blowing the world away, because your worldwide gross is 120 maybe.
Oh no, it's 225 right now.
Yeah, because we have 72 domestic, so the rest of it, so well over 150-ish. I'm not doing great at math. So they're coming close. They're above break even at this point, because you take the budget and you double it for marketing.
How much would they have made on Hulu though?
Like I said, I have never really been able to quantify how that works. I know it's minutes and it's signups and whatever, and but I mean, at least it's very Dick and Jane math when something is released in the theater. We made it this.
Well, it's a second stream of revenue. You'll get people that didn't go to the theater to see this, which is great for bringing in, hey, we have something new. If you're subscribed, stay subscribed. Oh, I need to get to Hulu because this is coming. So you get that piece, but you also get this money that can go to like, it can be released on 4K, it can be released on all these things, VOD. So it's probably, they're going to probably make about $300 million from this film, which would have made none of that revenue and still have the same effect of getting subscribers. So I think this was
it was a win. Yeah, without a doubt. Because they didn't go nuts spending money on all the CGI, this and that. They used it where they needed to, and I think they pulled it out. So I would, Todd, if you were to rate this 1 out of 10 face huggers, where are you landing?
I'm giving it an 8.5. I mean, I had moments of like, ooh, oh my goodness. I had moments of like, oh, that doesn't make any sense, but I like where it's going. It's fun. I'm along for the ride. So I really like this. 8.5 out of 10 weird alien babies.
Gotcha.
Why not?
I will. I'll land on an even number, even though the face huggers have a lot of extra fingers. I'll go. It's an 8 for me. I don't know what I found. Some of it like, you're really set like the very convenient this or that or whatever, or the guy who's so dumb that he sticks his cattle prod into the. It's just some of the characters were too dumb. Yeah.
That doofus. He's your
Yeah.
bow honk that just
Yeah.
had to die.
So some of it was too
yeah.
much like, oh, they had to die, and all right, fine. But yeah, definitely an A8. Maybe I'd even give it a 9. I really thought it was great. Wouldn't shave too much off for. And again, it's a return to form that, with the original quadrilogy, the original 4 films, which were just a sliding scale. It was a sliding scale, and then it jumped off a cliff for the last one. This was, and Prometheus and Covenant were okay, but it was a little too derivative. They worked maybe a little too hard at the world building for it to be great and exciting. And then this was just a great return to form. So 9 out of 10. I'll upgrade it. That works for me.
Woo! All right. Talk about Return to Glory. I think Fede Alvarez was a good pick for the director. I haven't watched the Evil Dead films with his new take because I'm like, it's going to be a lot of like grossness that I just don't want. But with him doing this with a property and just playing around with it, I think he's spot on. Bring in a horror director because it's not been, Ridley Scott was not a horror director. James Cameron obviously wasn't. So bringing someone that basically said, well, let's play around with it. With a young cast. You don't have people like getting distracted, like, oh, will David Schwimmer make it? I don't know, because he's not in this film.
Lisa Kudrow is blowing up all the aliens. Oh my goodness. Crazy.
I know.
Good deal. Well, it's still in the theaters. Go see it. Go support it. But wait till after Labor Day, because I don't want it to blow my numbers.
Yeah, it's the last big film of the summer, so very good. Overall, I say this has been a very fun summer and a lot of good treats. So thank you, aliens. We hope you don't face hug us or melt us with your acid.
All right, well, that is the show. I think we should be coming back next week to talk about kind of a fun documentary, or in the future. We'll see what turns up. But Todd, where do people find you out there?
They can follow me at Teoxtra at Seek Friends Unite on Threads. Also, check out our Discord and check out our YouTube page and our Patreon as well. Secret Friends, or patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Check out all the stuff we do there and get a trial.
You'll like it. You can also find me over on Instagram and the Threads at the C3 TheCeeThree. Just spell it out. I do spend a heck of a lot of time over on the Discord. We also, my wife and I run a great Discord called the United Trekkers of Michigan for fun, free of consequence, and any weird fan club stuff. Talking about Star Trek. That's what we do love. So with that, friends, I was tell you as always, thank you for joining us. Sharing is caring, and keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain. In space, no one can hear you squeak.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.